Cheers.
Cheers. Good to see you, Andy.
Good to see you here in the UK again, or still. So yes, obviously this is a pre-recorded one. We're making the most of the time that we have here together.
I love it.
I'm Andy here in the UK.
And I'm Scott, here also beside you in the UK.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic. And this is the Tea and Timbits podcast, global perspectives on business development to help you prosper.
In many ways.
Indeed.
Go back an episode, there was even some personal advice in there.
There was. And there may be some more this week as well.
I hope not.
We are continuing our month of May theme on complex sales, and this week's episode is about stakeholder management. And we'll go into what that means after your story. What do you have for us?
Well, and I won't give anything away. We were just about to hit record, and I thought, isn't this just a repeat of the episode we just did? And then we sort of already started thinking about different ways that it evolves from just executive selling that we talked about last time. So
I'm going to eat some peanuts and listen to your story.
I'm looking forward to getting into it. My story was going to be about the fact that I have been on the road for a fair bit lately. I was at a couple of events, presenting and participating in a marketing technology conference in Boston and then in Chicago, and so I was presenting in Chicago, and this time I decided to get somebody up to share the stage with me, to present with me, to contribute to the content and the presentation and whatnot. And this is not another flywheel person. This is somebody else in my professional network that I've met through the ecosystem, another service provider, another consultant, but so obviously has some overlapping capabilities, but has a particular supportive role to play in the kind of work that we do. And then it's come out of the fact that I've also asked him and a couple of other folks to be involved in an event that we're hosting at Flywheel in a month. So in June, we're going to have our annual. It's now annual because we've done it twice. We're going to do it twice. But by getting
the American World Series in two countries,
by getting more people involved and using that as an opportunity to platform them, to give them exposure, just adds to the amplification of what you're trying to achieve as well. So no longer are you just one person trying to make an impression or share your own message. You now have involved a second person, a third, a fourth person in that process, and all of a sudden you get access to their network and you get a broader reach for the content and what you're trying to do. And it also adds more dynamic to the presentation and what you're doing. So I just wanted to sort of share that as a bit of a reminder, an idea for how to get a little bit more leverage or reach out of some of the content generation or event activities that you might be doing.
Well, I think it relates very nicely to our episode last week as well, because that's of course, because that's what executive selling is all about, isn't it? It's about bringing a different perspective that's maybe not necessarily directly related to what you're doing, but is still related.
Right.
And that's a really good reminder.
Yeah. Anyway, it was really helpful. Like we had a lot of people coming up who might have seen me before, or seen my colleague before, or seen the online content before, or something like that. But that was refreshing, and because a lot of times you end up in the same circles, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And whatnot. But now it's like, that was different. That was unique. That was cool. So
that's really good. And so stakeholder management this week is what we're going to be focusing on, and as you rightly suggested and alluded to at the beginning of the episode there, it could be construed as being very similar to the executive selling part. But the reason we wanted to have the stakeholder management after the executive selling is because
I like how you make it sound like we thought about this.
Well, yeah, we definitely did. Is that a big part of the executive selling process is making sure that, as we talked about, that you have explained and educated the executives on their role and the expectations that they have within their role of the executive selling process within the complex sale environment. And then you have the stakeholder management, which goes beyond that, because not everybody who is a stakeholder in the selling or buying process will be an executive.
Right. Yes.
But they will all need managing.
Yes.
And that is often overlooked in a complex sale process.
And I think you will often fail to sort of inventory or audit for those moving parts and those things. You just kind of show up and assume that these things, I guess, are just all cogs in the machine, and here we go. But if you're intentional about, it's funny. Back to my story presenting. Just recently, watching back some of the video that I was recording for that, realized how often I use the word intentional.
Okay.
So now I can't say it without getting self-conscious about it. But anyway, the point is, if you are not doing that with some intent, thinking about who else is involved and how they're going to contribute, I think that part of the challenge is that a lot of those stakeholders might be on your side or on the other side of the table. And they come at it not necessarily with their own agenda, although that does happen.
It really does.
They come into it with their own expectation.
Yes.
Or their own motive, or their own just default unconscious expectation or assumptions about how this is going to go. And you need to cut that all out. You need to manage that. You need to make sure that that's optimized.
You need to uncover it first, though.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
And I think that can be
Which sounds a bit ridiculous, because there's you can count heads. What do you mean I can't uncover it? But it's more nuanced than that, right?
It is, because that's part of the stakeholder management, is helping them to break out of their box, break out of their lane,
Right.
And not bring those those preconceived expectations, those challenges, those resistances, those alternatives.
Yeah.
You want to bring them in and explain that they are all valuable in the process.
So, sorry to cut you off, but I actually think sometimes it's about uncovering some of those people to make sure you know that there's a point at which you don't want them involved.
Correct. There's always going to be detractors, and that's why, and that is part of that management process, really, because managing those stakeholders doesn't mean just giving them some education and then expecting them to get on with it. It is very much about managing them. It's about understanding what their challenges are, what their biases are, what their motivators are.
Yeah.
And then working with them to either go, okay, we can work with you and you can be part of this process, or you're going to be a problem later on when we start doing this because these are the issues that you're having. But also by involving them and trying to have that management mindset towards those stakeholders that are not part of the team, they're not part of the executive group, so they're not involved in the actual sales process, but they are stakeholders who are impacted and affected by it, both on the selling side and on the buying side. It's important to make sure that you make them feel involved by letting them share those biases, those challenges, those resistance, and not necessarily adapting accordingly, but learning from it.
That sounds like you're giving those stakeholders a lot of credit, because I can imagine a few scenarios where you sort of try to have a very sensible conversation, mature, professional discussion with them to try and sort of hash this all out together, and they look at you like, "What are you talking about? Like, I don't have that. That's not a problem. Like, that's not an issue. Like, let's just get in there and sell this, you know?"
Yeah.
So, but I think that's revealing unto itself.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. But the scenarios that I started to go to when we were sort of debating whether to even record a conversation about stakeholders after everything else we discussed this month, is
today.
This
evening.
Yeah. Fair enough. Are some in at least the deals that we get involved with, it's never just a solution from us.
No.
We have to bring in partners, technologies, other providers in order to complete the solution, and it's our responsibility to manage that and coordinate the full delivery. And
that's a great example of an external stakeholder that isn't in the buying organization and isn't in the selling organization, but is integral to the success of the delivery Yeah,
not just
that's
that,
really good.
but expecting that you're not going to let them down.
Yeah.
They're coming in going, oh, well, this is great. You're just going to sell me now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean you said that the wrong way? Then you get into some egos and you get into some friction and stuff like that. Which, if you uncover it at the beginning, if you work through how are we going to work this together, and I've got a lot of those scenarios and partnerships that we have that are very long established. We have history there, and it's so much fun now.
Yeah.
I was in Boston, and somebody pulled me out of the conference and said, "Hey, I got a call I could get you to jump in on with me." I'm like, "Great!" And like there was on the way from the conference room to the huddle office where we could have the call, we quickly briefed on each other because we knew the style that we were both going to show up on, and it was an introductory call. I hope it goes well, but you end up finally getting to that pattern only because one, routine, time, practice, but also intention. I think there it is again. Around
But you're not wrong by using that word.
Yeah. Around how you're going to arrive at the right outcome.
That's good. You threw me off with your intention.
From a stakeholder perspective, I can also think of some others that are like sort of even outside the ecosystem that you have any control over. These are things that are sort of like,
well, for example, right, if you're delivering I don't know, an exhibition, right?
Yes,
It's a good example,
yes,
right?
very good example.
So
yes.
if you're delivering an exhibition, you are not just going, oh, we've got an exhibition and we've got to now sell this exhibition to people who are in this industry who might want to come to the exhibition. No.
Right.
You then have, serious list of stakeholders who are very, very important to you being able to deliver what you're going to deliver to your customers. And making sure that you include those in the process and are considerate in how you're managing the relationship with them, the expectations with them, the delivery protocols and everything else is absolutely important for your actual sales process, because otherwise you're going to sell something that you can't deliver.
Right. And that's one of the scenarios where surfacing the expectation ahead of time is even more critical, because you have they don't have almost any skin in the game when it comes to what you're trying to do and what they're now just saying like, here's what I can do, here's what I provide, here's how I fit into the puzzle, and my piece is shaped this way, take it or leave it, right? So you have to know how that energy, how that dynamic, how those expectations are going to connect with everything else that you need to do. So those are the guideposts. Those are the markers that you need to watch for and make sure that you're aware of. Those are the hazards. That's the word I was looking for. That are on the horizon that you need to make sure are mapped out and you're working through. There was another
known unknowns.
The known unknowns.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But then, of course, as you know, as and I feel cliched mentioning it, but it's so important. Is the unknown unknowns. Is by having these conversations with all of the stakeholders, both your suppliers, your partners, the buying organisations, and your own organisation. Only then will you start to turn those unknown unknowns into known unknowns.
Manage knowns unknowns from your unknowns.
Yeah, because you start to understand the potential hazards.
Right. Yep. Okay, so as we were talking there, I was like scrambling for an earlier thought which just came back to me. Another stakeholder that is critical to consider, manage, and get ahead of, which I'm guilty of neglecting earlier on in the business development process, is your own internal delivery team, who then has to take over and execute on what you've just sold. Yeah. Any reflections as I sort of bring that one up?
No, that's a very important stakeholder within an organization. And so part of those stakeholder discussions that you have within your own organization are to uncover those, who is impacted by this, who is going to be, so that's where finance, operations, customer services, all of those other departments that are responsible for it after the sales concluded and actually making it a success ignoring those is something that most organizations do and then struggle and then wonder why things
and I don't know
as they
that,
should do.
that you're necessarily ignoring them. I mean, I suppose many times... Neglect. Yeah, there you go.
Fail to manage, because it's a stakeholder management discussion. There we go.
Yes. I mean, I've been in a lot of those situations where you're kind of putting some structure around the opportunity, and you're trying to build the vision, and you're trying to sell, that ultimate delivery. But there's so much that has to happen between articulating that vision today and that becoming a reality. And you know very well that the picture that you're describing, that vision that you're designing right now, is almost not going to compare to that final outcome. Not because it's going to be lesser of a delivery, but it's going to have changed shape so dramatically.
And so many times, usually,
That's right, even along the way, right? You've got to articulate that in a way that still sets the project team up, the delivery team up for success. The number of times I've kind of gone to that internal group and tried to get some guidance, some direction, some inspiration, and them just sort of inflating, because it's their chance to defend their own space, right? So then all of a sudden, like, well, we couldn't possibly do it for less than $85 bajillion. So just sell them $85 bajillion and it'll be fine. And I'm like, okay, all right, not helpful, right? So it's about that kind of stakeholder management. It's like, no, I need your creativity, but I honestly need you to detach that from the
specific sales process.
I don't need you to detach it from the outcome. I need you to detach it from the process that arrives at that outcome. I'm going to help us calibrate for what kind of expectation we're setting for what's involved in getting to that outcome, as I described this vision right now. But then you end up, when you're successful with the opportunity, still needing to give it back to that delivery team, and then re-articulate how the what got sold and how that's different from what you sort of talked to them about, and how you need them to reposition their thinking now to actually get the work done.
Correct. Yeah.
On budget, on time, effectively, satisfactorily. Yeah.
And this stakeholder management that we're discussing today is something that I have seen in organisations to be completely missing a lot of the time.
Totally.
And they find ways of making things work, but they're always firefighting. They're always struggling. They're always coming across challenges and issues and things like that.
Did you hear that? If you are always firefighting, this is your problem.
This is the why. This is exactly why. Because we just explained it for 15 minutes. But yeah, go back and listen to the episode if you're not sure. The transformation within these organizations, when they start introducing the stakeholder management element, the executive selling element, and all of the other stuff that we're talking about this month on the executive element, on the complex selling process, is incredible, because they are then able to see where they're failing because of things outside of that. But when they are living in this essentially chaos environment, they're firefighting, they're scrambling, they're late on deliveries, their suppliers are not supplying on time because they haven't managed that side of things. All of these things can easily be avoided if you have a good stakeholder management process in place.
They can also be avoided if you have a bad stakeholder management process in place. If you have a stakeholder management process. My point is,
start somewhere.
The complete absence of one is the problem. Is where you run into firefighting mode all the time. Is where you get frustrated with each other and you just start pointing fingers and whatnot. But if you have something, at least a list of who was involved and what they said and what they did, start there. That's all. That's going to just move the ball up the field.
Thank you very much, Scott.
All right.
We're not going to go too much more into this, but from a
Now I want to talk
top-
about how you do it, so that's the next episode.
from a topic that we were not so sure whether it would fit in, we've already covered 20 minutes, so
That's
I think
amazing.
that's enough for today. But we can revisit this in the tools episode at the end of the month.
Looking forward to it.
If you are listening and you found that inspiring and exciting and want to learn more or hear other things about how to run your business or be effective in complex sales, then go to teetandtimbits.com or check us out on LinkedIn. And in the meantime,
There's the cutest little London taxi cab outside the window right now. It's making me so excited.
thank you, Scott.
Thanks, everybody.